back of the rim. Got it! Oh, the slam! Using Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry!
I was on my way to the gym, bro. I swear. I'm wearing the rock stuff. That does not mean I'm about to start rapping. I am about to do a lot of talking though, because I had to spin the block. I got this noti. I'm not gonna say while I was driving. Drive responsibly. I'm just gonna say I got this noti, and I had to turn around because I wanted to make this video anyways. I was going to make this video, but I didn't have the news. I was thinking about it before I left this morning after Doris Burke said something last night, and it all unfolded in under 24 hours. This is what we got. Brooklyn Nets statement, October 12th, 2021. This is released by General Manager Sean Marks, who said, given the evolving nature of the situation and after thorough deliberation, we have decided Kyrie Irving will not play or practice with the team until he is eligible to be a full participant. Kyrie has made a personal choice and we respect his individual right to choose. Currently, that choice restricts his ability to be a full-time member of this team, and we will not permit any member of our team to participate with part-time availability. It is imperative that we continue to build chemistry as a team and remain true to our long-established values of togetherness and sacrifice. Our championship goals for the season have not changed. Well, I mean, they kind of have. And to achieve these goals, each member of our organization must pull in the same direction. We're excited for the start of the season and look forward to a successful. Okay, all right, that's the statement, right? Layman's terms, it doesn't need layman's terms. Kyrie cannot play basketball unless he gets the vaccine. It's a full thing now. The New York mandate, I think that's what's a bit confusing to people here, is that this is not an NBA mandate. This is a state mandate. So in the state of New York, if you're not vaxxed, you can't play there, which is why teams are visiting teams that are coming to New York, i.e. like if there was a Nets and Knicks series, Kyrie wouldn't have been able to play in that either. He wouldn't have been able to play in Brooklyn. He would not have been able to play in the Knicks arena. That's the difference with other teams where, like, say for Golden State, you have to be vaxxed, but to play there, but a visiting team can go there. It's different in New York. It's not an NBA rule. This is just state stuff. Okay. So what this means is that Kyrie Irving has two choices: vaccine or no basketball team. I didn't see this one coming. I just made this video like 2 or 3 days ago. In that, I said very firmly, I believe the Nets were going to bring him in for 41 games, but that position started devolving over the last couple of days. And really last night when I heard what Doris Burke said, I tweeted about it. That's what really, she really got in my head. She said it with a lot of conviction and she made a lot of sense. If you weren't watching a boring Nets Sixers preseason game, the thing you heard her say was that it would be basically impossible for, and she didn't just say a star player like Kyrie, she just said it'd be impossible to have a part-time player and have championship aspirations. She was saying that coaching, one of the most difficult parts of coaching is managing lineups, managing rotations. And so imagine, and this is just my part, that's basically what she said. And that made me think, imagine having what is Kyrie, like 25 point per game scorer? Imagine having that, you miss him for 3 games and he plays for 5, then you miss him for another 4, and now he's back for another 2 or 3. There's a simple way to look at it and say, okay, yeah, they could just do that. They could just add him onto the team and have him be a part of the super team when he's there, and just when they don't have him, they just have KD and Harden. You could look at it that way, but you could also look at it and say, all right, this isn't just affecting the player I talked about in the video. I was talking about James Harden. I was going, well, how does he adjust to that? Because this affects his position. This affects whether he's playing point guard or shooting guard, how many shots he takes in the first half. That affects him. What about the backup point guards that you might be relying on in the playoffs to hit a big shot? On the Nets, you're not going to really be looking at Patty Mills when you have Harden or KD. But my point is, last year, the Nets needed some production from Joe Harris in the playoffs. They didn't get it. So what if you don't get production from a certain role player because he hasn't been in a rhythm all season because his minutes have been affected by Kyrie Irving coming in and out of the lineup? Some star players might be able to deal with that. A guy like, say, Javon Carter or Patty Mills. Let's just go ahead and do it position-wise. Those are some backup point guards they have. What if they're doing really well during the season, but because of Kyrie being in and out, for this stretch of games they're playing and they're playing great, then for this stretch of games they're not really getting any touches or much minutes because now Kyrie and Harden are handling the point guard. You see what I'm saying? It gets really difficult for Steve Nash to put that all together while you're trying to win a championship against some really talented teams. It's not like the Nets, even though they're the most offensively talented, it's not like they're in the league of scrubs. You would have to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, who've now won a championship, so they have that confidence under them. Maybe a retooled Miami Heat. Like, there's some squads out there you would have to deal with where they might get the drop on you specifically because they have more chemistry. Anyways, that's why what Doris Burke said really resonated with me. Then I realized when I was watching the game, I was like, wait a minute. They're in Philly. Harden is here, KD is here, Kyrie isn't here. And as a matter of fact, their first preseason game was in Los Angeles. Kyrie didn't play there either. So it's the preseason. Stars don't play a lot in the preseason. But it kind of struck me, not only did he not show up in the Brooklyn games, he hadn't showed up in the other 2 either. Are are the Nets really thinking about not playing him this season? Because once she said that, I believe it was Mike Breen on the call that said the Nets don't know what they're going to do. And I was like, oh, wait, they're actually thinking about not playing him. The news came out that apparently Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would be a part of this. Kevin Durant and James Harden would be a part of this decision. I don't know if they actually were, so I'm not even taking that route. And I was like, okay, they're really thinking about this. And here we are with the statement this morning. So this just has so many sides to it. Kyrie's side, what happens to the team. We don't have a lot of information about the future right now. One thing that we can look at is hey, Ben Simmons missed one check in the preseason and now he's pretty much back with the team. Don't know if he's going to be playing yet, but he flew in, he took his mandated test. The Sixers didn't even know he was flying back to Philadelphia, so he's there. He saw how many zeros were missing and he was like, oh, I can't get that back. All right, bet. So it's very easy. I'm nobody's pocket watching here, but it's very easy to look at these players and say, oh, they got millions of dollars. What's one season to them? But you got to remember, a lot of these players, if they have somebody good in their ear, they're probably thinking about the future and, hey, I'm not always going to be making basketball money, but I am probably always going to be treated like a basketball player. There's people around me that are always going to want things. I'm always going to want things. So in theory, yeah, your $100 million plus contract should be enough to last you multiple lifetimes. But when you think about the lifestyle that these guys live, abruptly cutting off their pay is not something I think a lot of them want to deal with. Yeah, Ben Simmons probably has just more money than he knows what to do with. But if you start looking at the future, he's probably thinking, man, I shouldn't just forfeit $33 million. There's going to be a day where my expenses are still going to be heavy. I'm not going to be making this much money. So nobody, regardless of how much money they have, really just wants to give up that many millions. And I wonder if that'll bleed over to Kyrie. He's got his bread. He's been a star for a while. He's had big contracts. He's got his bread. But on top of not being able to play basketball with his team or even practice, now that's crazy because they said he could practice, or the state said he was allowed to practice. Now the Nets are like, nah, just play with us or don't play at all. You have to wonder if that's going to factor into it, because whether he doesn't play this year or he decides to retire, that is abruptly cutting off millions that he probably did not see just stopping out of nowhere. You got to think about that stuff when you make as much money as these guys do, when you live the way they do. Those are just things you have to think about. Not saying he's going to go broke if he doesn't play this year, but you also don't want to just give up that much. Nobody should ever want to give up that much. I don't care what you have in your bank or what you're making. Anyways, that's that money portion. As far as the basketball portion, man, do I think they made the right choice? To be honest, yeah, I weirdly do, because, well, my thing would have been, I'll just tell you what I would have done. You probably heard it a little bit in the last video, but I would have personally looked for a trade. I just think that with the whole part-time thing and the fact that you're looking at James Harden's contract, which is something I may or may not have mentioned recently, but James Harden is not signed with the Brooklyn Nets past this season. You signed Kevin Durant, but Harden could look at dysfunction and say, okay, maybe I want to go elsewhere. Not sure where else you want to go besides playing with KD, but still, though there's some convincing you have to do there. Otherwise, he probably would have signed already. So my hands on the controls, I would have looked for pieces to help them win a championship this season. You don't know how many chances you're going to get at it, i.e. last year, everyone was hurt, so they didn't win it. That would have been the most ideal thing. But since there was the apparent threat of him retiring if he was traded, now you're looking and saying, okay, we either just play you part-time and let you do what you want, or not at all. Out of those two, I thought before last night, I really would have said, yeah, just play him the 41 games. But actually, one of the announcers for the Clippers quoted my tweet, because I tweeted when Doris Burke said that. And here's something he said. His name is Ralph Lawler. My bad. He's a retiring TV play-by-play announcer for the Clippers. He says, the Clippers went through this years ago in San Diego with Bill Walton, who was only available for weekend games because he was enrolled at Stanford Law School. Bro, the NBA was crazy. Bill played well when he played, but the in and out plan simply did not work. It's impossible. I agree 100% with Doris about Kyrie. So that was an interesting tidbit. I'm not going to lie. Through my perusing of NBA history, I hadn't heard that story. You can't trade him, can't play him part-time. It's hard to say a player like Kyrie just not play, having a weapon like that and not playing him at all throughout the season is the right choice. But given how little time they've had to play together already, and that was a question last year, if you're looking at the best course of action to win a championship, I really think it is getting James Harden and the people that are backing up James Harden acclimated as well as possible to playing without Kyrie, because you simply don't know what's going to happen, what, 5, 6, 7 months from now? You don't know what's going to happen when you're in the playoffs. Will that New York mandate be any different? I doubt it. I don't know. But if it's not, you possibly have him missing all of certain series or half a certain series. And even if you thought you could get away with this during the regular season with him being in and out, I highly doubt you could get away with that for the playoffs. There's an argument to be made about, yeah, maybe that throws off the other team too because they have to game plan for it. But I think that sows more dysfunction within the parent team. So yeah, with this, I think the Nets applied the right pressure. Hell, I think with the Nets and Sixers, like at a certain point, there has to be some type of rule for players to not just be able to do whatever they want. Because I am a player empowerment guy, but at the end of the day, like with Ben Simmons and his contract where I get whatever, they said mean shit to him, whatever happened with Ben Simmons. At the end of the day, he was under contract, and my thing was, damn, if he can say I'm not playing, any player can say I'm not playing. So Ben Simmons and Kyrie situations are different, but I just think when players are under contract, sure, they should have power to go where they want and make decisions for their career, but there has to be a line where it's like, okay, they can't just decide when. They can't always be deciding when they're playing or when they're not playing, or just holding teams hostage because of their star power. Because the Nets were practically being held hostage with this. If they couldn't trade him, they had no other decision but to maybe fuck up the chemistry. What Kyrie is going to do, your guess is it's as good as mine, man. It's as good as mine. I did say also last video, I'd always thought he was going to retire way earlier than we want him to. I don't know if this decision is going to make him retire today. That's just a hard thing. He's got a lot of basketball left in him. He's got a lot more money to be made. It is kind of interesting to imagine just abruptly he would retire right now. And hell, he could just miss this whole season. That's another thing here, because another year passes. That's a gamble. We don't know what mandates are going to be like. We don't know what Corona is going to be in a year at this rate. But he could just say, okay, well, guys have missed seasons before, right? Klay Thompson just missed the whole season with injury. D Rose has missed seasons. Kyrie can just say, all right, I'll miss this season. If he really believes that strongly against the facts, he can say, I won't play this season and I'll come back next year. In which case, yeah, the Nets were 1000% right to do this, because they have to get things figured out with Harden as quickly as possible. Then all of a sudden you're looking at maybe one day only having Kevin Durant on this team, and I doubt he wants to finish his career being the lone star on a team. I don't think KD has ever liked being the lone star on a team. What does this do to the Nets' title chances? Harden and Kevin Durant are still a great position to be in. That is still a great place to be. You're not at a disadvantage, but taking Kyrie out of this equation takes them a little bit lower than they were, and that's an obvious statement, but with Kyrie, they're in a tier of their own. Without him, I don't think that they are. I believe this team is built to say, hey, we have 3 offensive superstars that you can't do anything about. And so whatever other deficiencies we may have, sure, we have some old guys that are playing important minutes for us. Sure, we have defensive deficiencies. Whatever holes they have, it didn't matter before because you had 3 of those guys. When you have 2, it's a little different. Another thing I noticed last night when I saw Harden on the floor by himself was, hey, wait, damn, I forgot. They can't just have 2 of those 3 stars out at all times. Last year, one of the most mind-boggling things when they were playing together was you either had Kyrie and Harden on the floor, or you had Harden and KD, you had Kyrie and KD. You had some assortment of 2 out of 3 guys on the floor at all times, which in my opinion would have made them unbeatable. Other guys or other teams have to sit their stars, or they only have 1 star on the floor at all times. These guys had 2 of the greatest offensive players ever on the floor at all times. That's a big loss. To not have that, that's a big loss. Now you're just looking at Harden running point with shooters, or you're looking at KD. That's a big difference. Whereas I thought most teams didn't have a chance before, now it's a thing where, sure, I still 100% they believe they can be in the conference finals. They can even make the finals. Harden and Kevin Durant is not a disadvantage, but it is fascinating now. It was not fascinating before. I did not have questions before. I have questions now. I think there's a chance they could be beat now, which goes back to why I believe the Nets did the right thing, because now you just have to figure out what you're doing with these 2. If Kyrie's not going to be vaxxed, if he folds and he gets vaccinated, then none of this matters. He hasn't said or done anything so far that makes me believe that's going to happen, but it is Kyrie. He can change overnight. But without him, there's going to be challenges. There are going to be challenges. There's definitely the way to look at it and say, hey, the Nets almost beat Milwaukee last year with no Kyrie and half of Harden, which is very true. Harden, as much as you might want to talk bad about his playoff performance, he clearly wasn't healthy. He was playing like dog shit, but he also wasn't healthy in those last games. If they had a healthy Harden, I'm pretty sure they would have beaten the Bucks. But the Bucks might be a different team this year. They've now won a championship. They might be better than they were. Guys might have improved. Things don't just stay static from year to year. So there's questions. There is, dare I say, some level of parity without Kyrie. And now we just have to wait and see, because that is still a very big decision for him. Not playing basketball for a whole year, or even retiring, which again, he does not have to retire. But I'm betting this probably rubs him the wrong way. Given his beliefs, this probably really rubs him the wrong way, and he might. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What is going to happen? Is Kyrie going to retire? Is he going to get vaxxed? Are the Nets, where are the Nets to you now that, let's just go with what we have today. They don't have Kyrie today. Where are they now that they don't have Kyrie Irving? What do you think about that? Somehow I said I said the Nets and Lakers were, just follow me on Twitter, bro. I've been saying forever Nets and Lakers was way too good to be true. I saw in preseason nobody was playing and I was like, yep, at least until the finals, we're never going to see all these guys on the floor at the same time. As of today, we won't see all those guys on the floor ever. But if you're out there listening to Kyrie, we love watching you play. We'd love to see you play this season. Yeah, I mean, bro, this is one of the craziest things I have seen in my time covering basketball. A top scorer is just been exiled until further notice. Yeah, let me know in the comment section, man. Hit the like button, sub, hit the bell next to my name if you want notice when a new video drops. I will see y'all on the next one.